And good morning. My name is Ryan Belmore. It is just past 10:45 here on Friday, June 16th. Mr. Frank Prosnich joins me. How are you, Frank?
Seasick. I'm seasick.
You are seasick, and you can certainly see what we are going to be talking about today. And there's a great event coming up with a couple of our partners and friends that we absolutely love. You can see some of them right there on the bottom, but Jane Pickens Film and Event Center continues to curate and put together awesome community events and partnering with people in the community. And next week, they are partnering with IRIS, which is Iris School of Technology and Trades these days.
That was my cousin's name. I was getting worried for a minute.
There you go. As well as our friends at Charter Books. Steve and his crew at Charter Books is really, he's doing events once a week, twice a week, bringing authors in and hosting events like this. And the event next week is Master and Commander with Will Sofrin, author of All Hands on Deck. Will joins us. How are you, Will?
I'm doing awesome. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing great.
We're doing fine.
Well, let me get the details. We're going to talk about a lot today, but if people want more information about the event, all they have to do is visit janepickens.com, and you'll see it right up there because it's next week. It's Wednesday, June 21st. All the festivities kick off at 6:15. But Master and Commander have been around a little while now, and now there's this new book coming out by Will.
Yeah, I'm very excited and humbled by the book, the reception that the book's received. It's about my experience. It all starts off in Newport. I had graduated from IRIS and just returned from racing in Europe, and Newport's got a special place in my heart. So getting to start the book there and bring those ties back kind of gives me a warm fuzzy feeling inside, especially now that I'm coming back and there's all these people from the book and all my local friends in Newport all coming to this big event to share stories and have a few drinks. And maybe
give us a quick synopsis. You were all of 21 when you took this journey, right?
Yeah. I had recently completed the apprenticeship program at IRIS. It was then the International Yacht Restoration School. And I didn't have a job. I was in Newport. I'd gotten back from racing in Europe. Winter was setting in, and there were really no opportunities. So I got sent down to Rose by a local named Casey Fasciano. He was the captain of WUN-ON-ONE at the time. And he sent me down to ask for work, or sort of beg for work, really. And surprisingly, I got offered a job on the spot to crew the ship to sail to California to make the movie Master and Commander, which was not what I expected. And believe it or not, I didn't accept the job at first. It took some prodding for me to finally realize it was a great opportunity.
Now, the book is about the journey, correct?
Yeah, the book's a few threads. The book is about the journey, about sailing from Newport to California. And then along with that thread, I weave in a lot of sort of history about the roads and the places that we are, where we've been and where we're going. And I talk about sort of the impetus of the movie, which was an author named Patrick O'Brien and his series of books. So I kind of weave all those tales together.
Will, how long has the idea of putting this book together been on your mind?
It's funny. A lot of questions I get are like, why did it take so long to write the book? And I think I'll say maybe I needed the 15 years to percolate on it. But writing the book came up about 4 years ago after a New Year's party. And I thought, people love hearing these stories. Why don't I write a book about it? And I actually dug in and did it.
You said this was after a New Year's party? I have a lot of ideas after New Year's parties, but seems to be the strange inspiration.
I know, right? I think, well, the biggest, because I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and I didn't go to college. I went to IRIS. My wife's a pediatrician, and both found great success in life in different ways. So I hope that this book will inspire some younger people like her when she gets older to make an adventure of their own life. Go have some fun. Get out there.
How long was this trip? How long was this journey from Rhode Island to California?
We were underway for 36 days. But I look at it as a much longer event because we spent a couple months preparing the ship for the journey. And then there was a couple months of repair at the end of the journey.
Why the Rose? The Rose was the Rose a replica of the ship in the movie?
No, well, the Rose was a replica of a 1757 Royal Navy ship. And Patrick O'Brien, the author himself, had said he had an event on the Rose in the 90s and said the ship was much like the ship that he wrote about in his books. And when director Peter Weir finally agreed to shoot the movie, his condition was that he wanted an authentic ship to play the star role. And Rose was the only ship of this kind at that time in the world actively sailing.
Frank.
All right. Just a little bit, some of the highlights of that trip. It sounded like there were all kinds of things that went on, some of them dangerous, some of them fun, but, you know what, I'm going to backtrack a moment. So with you at this event, you're going to be many of the crew?
Yeah, half of the crew that's featured in the book, that's written about in the book, are coming to Newport. We have the furthest person's coming from Spain.
Wow.
It's amazing. Not only that, there's going to be a bunch of generations of Rose alumni crew coming to Newport. And where I think that this event is going to be the best event of my book tour is Rose had so many ties to Newport because she would constantly docked and visiting Newport. There's so many pictures. You look back in the history of her being docked at Bowen's Wharf, Bannister's Wharf. She was there. She was built for the bicentennial celebration. So everywhere I've been around the country talking about the book, people from Rose walk up to me and introduce me and tell me their Newport story. So I'm excited that, we're going to have all these crew members intermixing and celebrating.
Well, how many sailors or how many people were on board for the sail?
So we had 30 on board. So we're going to have 15 in Newport for the event.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just a logistics question. Once you all got to California, did you, I guess I could read the book to find out next week, but did you all sail back or did you fly back?
No, everyone kind of broke up and did different things. Some of the crew members stayed on for the film, which is fun because we're going to see some of them in the movie. Others, like myself, I got offered a job back in Newport. And after having sailed to California, I thought, well, I wanted to keep sailing instead of making a movie about it. So I opted to fly back and work in Newport in the fall season.
What have you been doing since?
Well, I worked on and off professionally for 10 years, kind of had Newport as a bit of a base. And now I made a big sort of transition to land-based career. I mostly work on historical architecture in Southern California. So I work with clients who buy estates, and I help develop the plans and get everything through from start to finish.
Excellent. The event, again, is next Wednesday, June 21st, 6:15. And it looks like doors open at 5:45 over at the Jane Pickens Theater. Introduction and video presentation by yourself. And we'll talk about that in 1 second. Intermission at 7. And then 20th anniversary screening of Master and Commander starting at 7:30. Obviously, people, when they go to the event, they'll be able to pick up a copy of the book. Courtesy of our charter books. They'll be able to get you to sign them, I'm sure. Talk to us a little bit about the video presentation.
Yeah. So when we were sailing, 3 of us on board had camcorders, which, is before the invention of the iPhone and all that. So at the end of the journey, we shared all of our footage and had over 8 hours of film footage. And then also when I started writing the book, I reached out to all my crew members, all my shipmates, and a lot of people sent me photographs. So I've curated a video presentation because in the book, we go through some pretty harrowing experiences. We sailed through a hurricane strength storm in the North Atlantic, and we've got this film footage of doing that, which is very unusual to have that on a ship like this. And then we suffered a dismasting in the Caribbean Sea, which is where your masts break. And so we've got that also in film footage. So I'm able to show that to the audience. And it's not even just like those traumatic moments. I think what makes the story a lot of fun for anyone who's not even a sailor is we were a crew of, mostly 20-year-olds, boys and girls, having fun. So, there was also a lot of debauchery along the way.
Let's talk about that.
we don't want to give all the good stuff away, but Steve at Charter Books was months ago. He was telling me about this book coming out, and he mentioned it'll be a lot of fun read for anybody who loves Newport or is in Newport, because there'll be a lot of familiar places mentioned throughout the book.
Yeah, there's a lot of places, and I think a lot of local faces as well, some local Newport celebrities. And then, you know, one other thing to add is actually, like, the event officially does start at 6:15 with doors opening at 5:45, but a ton of us are all going to be meeting up at the Fastnut Pub at 5 for some food and drinks before the event. So,
are you going to be doing any drinking there, or is that?
No, yeah, we got to kind of get the libations going early.
Excellent. Good idea.
You read about it 20 years from now when the book comes out about the
film
book
it. You know, put it on film again.
I gotta say, I was really happy when Alex from the Jane Pickens told me they had to hire the fire marshal because of the amount of pre-sales that have happened.
That's good.
Very good. We do a lot of events there. We have we have the Big Lebowski coming up here Tuesday night, the night before. And then we annually do Jaws at Jane Pickens. So that will be in July. We do two Jaws premieres. And when you have to get the fire marshal to come in, that means ticket sales are really good and the room's going to be pretty full. So sounds like it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm hoping there'll be some White Russians left over the night after the Lebowski.
When did you finish writing the book? When did you begin the book tour? And then my third question in that is, you mentioned that people will relate to you because of Newport. What are some of the things that people are saying to you, or that some of their highlights are?
All right. So first question is, when did I finish writing the book? I finished writing the book officially in October of last year. That was the last sort of my final proof of the draft. And then I started doing a soft book tour. I did my first event in November, but really kicked it off in January. And so I've got over 70 speaking events booked for this year, 2023, which has been great. I've been all around the country. I've been to Alaska. I've been invited to Bermuda. I'm going to England in the fall. I've been back east. I was speaking at New Bedford Whaling Museum and the Seaport a few weeks ago. What was that third question, Frank?
Third question is, you mentioned that people will come up to you and talk about their experiences at Newport. Some of the highlights of what they relate to and what you're hearing.
Some of the highlights were, that is an awesome question, Frank. I love that. One of my two most profound ones, I was up in Kodiak, Alaska. And there's a guy there who's a fisherman who was friends with John Millar, who built the ship. And this guy crewed the ship down from Nova Scotia to Newport for the bicentennial celebration, and had some fun nights on the ship. And then another one that I think was cracked me up was this older woman showed up at one of my events in San Diego, and she was a Salve Regina alum. And she and her girlfriends would party on the ship at night in the early 70s. And she brought this photo album of all these girls and they're crying, partying on the ship. 70s. Those are, but it's great though, because they, you know, these people seek me out, and I love that they bring their stuff and talk about it. It's great.
Just because I don't think it's completely clear with how quickly I tried to Google it. What happened to the Rose?
So the Rose got converted to HMS Surprise for the filming of Master and Commander. And then after that, she kind of got put on like a little bit of a hold in case there was going to be a sequel for the filming. So during that hold, she was put on loan with the Maritime Museum of San Diego for put on display, which the museum eventually bought the ship from Fox, and she's remained in their possession since. She has been in a few movies, like I think she was in Pirates Caribbean 4. And right now she's just a dockside attraction in San Diego. It's great. I went and saw her last week. It was very nostalgic to kind of hang out on the ship.
Yeah, that must be pretty neat to go 20 years later and see that she's still floating.
It is. It's really neat. I think she gets a lot of flack on the internet because she's in rough shape. But Hollywood's goal was to make the ship a great prop for a movie. It wasn't about doing what was best for the ship. So I don't know if she'll sail again, but the museum's doing a great job of keeping her afloat and making her a really fun attraction to walk through and experience.
Do you think this could be the start of a campaign to get her back sailing again?
I really like the thought of that and the idea of that. And you know what? Anything's possible.
Yeah.
I think you never know. And as we're gonna see next week with the amount of people coming, there is a strong fan base for this ship.
Newport loves their tall ships.
Yeah. When you've been out and speaking at these engagements, you attracting big crowds?
Yeah, my events have been selling out. Really exciting. Most of my events though have been for yacht clubs or museums. But yeah, as word has built, it's been spilling out, and now I'm getting more emails from the people sort of asking how they can see me because they can't get to the event or if there's no opportunity.
So you reached out to all the crew members to join you. Half of them have. What's happened to all these? What are they up to? Some of them still sailing or gone off in different directions.
Well, so when I started writing the book, I made a gallant effort to reach out to everyone that I could and find everyone. And I couldn't find everyone. I could only find, I think, about 22 of my shipmates. Some just absolutely couldn't be found. And some didn't want to talk to me. And hey, I get it. I'm like, yeah, you expect 30 people to get along. And I'm not saying I'm a little prince or anything. So what I did do was I recorded and documented talking to everyone. It was fascinating finding what's going on. We still have some people who are professional tall ship sailors. You've got people who stayed in the industry but maybe migrated to yachting. A number of people like myself have retired from professional sailing. You've got lawyers, you've got firefighters, engineers, just a whole spectrum of where people went and what they did with their life. It's been really quite fascinating, actually, getting to find out how we've all chosen to live our lives.
And well, I know this book is everything that led, or the voyage leading up to the film. But did you have to reach out to anybody at the film or get their blessing, or did you invite Russell Crowe to next week's event or anything like that?
So Russell is not very interested in participating. He's got a band that's actively touring in Australia right now.
Okay.
So his thing. But yeah, I got what was incredible was I reached out to Peter Weir, who was the director, and he worked with me on the book. He was so helpful. It was really just an incredible experience getting to talk to Peter and work with him and have his help. And then Tom Rothman, who was the co-chairman of 20th Century Fox and is now the chairman and CEO of Sony Motion Picture Group, he was the one who had the idea to make the movie, and Tom wrote the introduction to my book. Certainly was invited, but I'm sure you can imagine a man with his at his role, his schedule is pretty tight. But he has been a big fan of this.
With that said, I'm just going to roll it right into this one. Is there any chances that this book becomes its own movie?
Well, I think that would be a lot of fun. There have been a couple inquiries, but we'll see what materializes. I mean,
good for you. Good.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would be an interesting journey indeed. Of those, the crew that's coming back, have you been in touch with all of these, or have seen them, or is this going to be somewhat of a reunion for you guys?
It's gonna be a big reunion for us. I think I've been in touch with. Over the years, I stayed in touch with maybe 4 or 5. And then definitely through the book, there was sort of like a rebonding, I'll say. Everyone has a reason to reconnect and talk. So for a lot of us, next week seeing each other is going to be the first time in almost 2 decades, which is really cool. And then, yeah, just to emphasize, reiterate with how it's turned into this giant reunion where you have different generations of Rose crew coming in. Rose went to Tall Ships 96, where she crossed the Atlantic, and you're going to have other locals in Newport who are part of those earlier iterations of crew that are kind of.
Well, I want to roll the clock back a little bit to when you first got interested in sailing. Tell us about those early days. When you got the bug, and what motivated you to.
Frank, I think you're freezing up there a little bit. Will, can you still hear me, right?
Oh, I was. Maybe I'm not now.
I can hear you, Ryan.
Can you hear me now, Will?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Frank, I'll take
So
it.
my question is, you heard it?
Yeah, well, kind of. You were all broken up, but pretty much how'd you get into sailing and where'd you catch the sailing bug?
Gotcha. Well, I after high school, I enrolled in the wooden boat apprenticeship program at Iris, and in the summer, I mean, you get the waterfront right there, and you're building boats. So I baked, pleated, and did whatever I could to get out sailing, and that I started filling in on boats, racing, and then I started filling in on the 12-meter fleet in Newport doing the sunset charters. And once I knew I could get paid to sail, I thought, well, this is a lot better than building boats. And that really absolutely got the bug. And being some kind of like poor kid from Connecticut, knowing that I could get a job on a boat and that would take me places was just a dream opportunity to travel and see the world. So Newport is still just the best place in the world one can go sailing.
When was the last time you were back in Newport?
The last time I was back in Newport, I want to say it was last year, or I know 2 years ago, I came back and actually chartered WUN-ON-ONE, which was really great. That 12-meter that I had helped build and took over to Europe. So that was very fulfilling to come back and having worked on her, having chartered her. I've stopped back in a couple of times to visit some people, but things have been a little busy and hectic in the damn pandemic.
Excellent. The book is Master and Commander, Far Side of the World. I'm sorry, that's the movie. But where can people get the book if they can't get to the event next week? Obviously, they can stop by Charter Books. Charter Books 8 Broadway. We'll have it anytime people want to stop in. But if they're not in Newport and they're watching this, where can they go to get it?
Fortunately, I can say the book is everywhere. It's you can get it on Amazon, but always try and support your local bookstore if you can. They're wonderful. There might be a bit of a shortage. I'm happy to say the book is already in its 3rd edition of printing. Wow. So there might be a couple of areas where it might be tough to get, but I know that they're on back order, but they're working on fulfilling that.
Excellent.
Do you have any other books in mind?
I do. I got a soft green light from my publisher for my next book. So right now I'm doing the research and development of that. The book is going to be about the focus on the lost art of apprenticeship and about practical experience. So I'm doing some research, going to sort of write about these vignettes of different people's lives today and how they're building careers through experience. Sort of learning like an electrician's apprentice, that kind of thing.
Sounds interesting. There was Studs Terkel did a book called Working. I don't know if you've ever read that. And
I've not read it. It's on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah, it's a great book. Every chapter is of somebody from a different profession or job, and goes from lawyers to hookers. Well, no, that's the same profession. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. but it's a great book. It sounds almost similar to what I'm not sure how you're going to construct it, but I love the idea of talking about the apprenticeship programs because they are so critical.
Just a reminder, Frank, my wife is a lawyer.
She was excluded. She's not listening, is she?
I don't think so. We'll find out in a couple of minutes. So the event is next Wednesday night over at Jane Pickens. JanePickens.com. You can grab tickets. It sounds like people should go on and grab, if they are thinking about going, planning on going, go on and grab tickets. Only so many people can fit in that building, and don't leave it up to chance that there are going to be tickets available at the door. This isn't a salesy push. It's just facts that they will sell out. JanePickens.com, and the festivities start at 5 at Fast Step Pub because the crew is no longer allowed on the waterfront due to all the debauchery. The Clark Cookhouse won't let them in. But 5 p.m. at Fastnet, and then you'll head over. The doors open at 5:45. At Jane Pickens, 6:15. Hopefully, Will hasn't had too many Guinness over at.
Well, actually, it might make it more interesting. you might hear about some of those sordid events.
Yes, and then the film starts at 7:30, and Charter Books will be in the lobby the whole length of the event, selling Will's book signing before and after the event, and you can pre-order. All hands on deck from Charter Books at charterbooks.com as well. So, Will, is there anything that we missed today?
No. I think this was a really well-rounded conversation.
I hope you enjoyed my jokes.
I love your jokes. I'm gonna remember the hooker lawyer one.
Okay.
So is it my wife. All right. Well, Will, we appreciate it. We wish you the very best of luck. Keep in touch and let us know how this goes. Hope to make it to the event next week, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, that sounds great. Ryan, Frank, thanks so much, guys. It's
Thank
great
you,
job.
Will.
And your website, Will, if people want to keep an eye on this book as well as your future projects.
My website's real easy. It's www.willsofrin.com.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ryan. Great talking to you.
All right. That is Will Sofrin. And the event is next week at Jane Pickens Theater. And you can check that out on Wednesday. The book is All Hands on Deck, a modern-day high seas adventure, far side of the world, available at Charter Books as well as his website, willsofrin.com, or wherever you get your books. For tickets to the event, janepickens.com. Thanks for watching.